And it was a tale of two worlds today. Minority MPs were not in Parliament to pass laws, but rather they were very heavy there in terms of their presence in court today to give some moral support to two of their colleagues who are being charged for criminal offences and different infractions with the law. They issued the warning on Tuesday and carried it out today. We'll bring you details of how those cases went today. First, though, let's take a look at a statement communicating this decision, which we'll bring to you shortly. But my colleague Richard Kojinyako has been in court and is joining us in studio to take a look at how the issues are unfolding. But Richard, what we see now in the images very disturbing. All minority MPs leaving Parliament, and we understand that they were in court. You saw some of them.
Yes, so when we could not find them in Parliament, we could actually find them in the court premises. In fact, they came in their numbers. They were led by the minority leader, Casey Latoforsen, who was also affected, and so he was present or involved in the second case. So they took to the court premises. So the first case that came off was in Court 1, where it involved George Achikwesin, and so today, various arguments were made by both counsels. So the lead counsel for James Achikwesin, Chachi Chikata, made a point that the judge erred in law. In fact, he quoted Article 296 of the Constitution that in the exercise of the discretion of the court erred. Secondly, in Section 96 of the Criminal Procedure or Criminal Code, the judge also erred in law because there is no requirement for a criminal case to be held on day-to-day basis.
Okay, we'll look at the merits of the matter and what's been happening in court. Kweku Asante is our parliamentary correspondent, is also joining us this afternoon. First, Kweku, we are also seeing the images from Parliament. What's the official reason being given by the minority? We'll get Kweku for you shortly, but let's get to the statement by the minority first of all, before we begin to hear the arguments that have been made in court today, with the minority explaining what may have accounted for their decision this time around. We give you excerpts of that statement as you find it on your screens now, indicating the details. But first, listen to Minority Chief Whip Governor Kwame Agbodza, who's been explaining the rationale behind this move.
The minority will not be participating in business on the floor because we are accompanying our two colleagues, Honorable Kwesi and Honorable Atoforsen, who are due to be in court this morning. Based on that, we are unable to attend to any government business. We'll be in court to support them. I think the minority leader gave this hint when he was making comments after the swearing-in of our colleague, Honorable Kwesi, on Tuesday. We are in court in solidarity of our colleagues who are being persecuted, as far as we are concerned.
We'll be right back. Please stay with us. And thanks for staying with us. Kweku Asante is our parliamentary correspondent, is joining us with the latest on happenings in Parliament. Kweku, let's start off with the official reasons being given by the minority side of the House. Almost all of them could not be found in the chamber. Why?
Well, yes, indeed, Blessed. None of them attended sitting today. And they had given that official warning when Achikwesin was sworn in last Tuesday that they were not going to attend sittings if the criminal prosecution of some of their members continued, particularly that one having to do with Achikwesin, who is standing trial for alleged perjury and forgery. There's also two other trials involving their members, one involving their leader, Dr. Casey Latoforsen, that having to do with causing financial loss to the state, and another causing financial loss to the state case having to do with Collins Sauda, the MP for Ishikiti North. So the NDC MPs clearly said that if their colleagues were asked to be in court, then they were going to be in court with them and will not come to Parliament. And so today, when sitting started, they were nowhere to be found. There were two cases in court today, one having to do with James Achikwesin, the other having to do with Dr. Casey Latoforsen. And so the minority MPs then decided that they were going to accompany these two colleagues of theirs to court. And that is exactly what happened. Early on, we caught up with the minority chief whip, Gavin Kwame Agboja, who offered some inkling, some ideas to what exactly they wanted to do. They described the prosecution as persecution and said that until it stopped, whenever these MPs had to go to court, they will accompany them and abandon sitting.
So what then happens tomorrow, for instance, as we know that some cases will be heard?
So I'm not so clear yet if Jati Kwesi's case will be heard tomorrow or that of Dr. Keselatu Forsen, as well as that of Collins Zauda. But the understanding is that whenever any of these persons have to go to court, they will accompany them. Even if it's one, if it's all three, even if it's all two, then that is going to be the situation. And so the business in the House today suffered a great deal. There were a number of questions that stood in the name of these NDC MPs, but they were not there to ask those questions. At some point, the speaker said that these questions have to be deferred to another time, and that is what leadership had agreed to do. Lady Al-Hassan, the minority whip, the deputy majority whip, said that the Hansard must record that the NDC MPs had failed to come to the floor to ask those questions that stood in their names, and eventually the House had to adjourn. We later caught up with some of these NPP MPs who were on the floor, in particular, Ives Hansen Norte, the MP for Tema Central, and Habib Iddrisu, who is also a deputy majority whip. They described the action as irresponsible and said that the charges against Kwesi will not be dropped and that NDC MPs are elected to come to the floor to do business and not to accompany people to go to court.
Let's listen to the speaker.
That stand in the names of the members that are present will be permitted to be asked the minister so that the minister can answer that and go back to conduct other business. So 5A and I think 5B. 5B2 is not around. So I direct that they be rescheduled.
Health Honorable Ajimameno, Minister for Tourism Honorable Awal, were all here to respond to the questions, but the members were not available. The Hansard must capture same for the record.
And personally, you've been engaging some of the leading figures of the majority side. What are we getting from them?
Well, they say that the conduct of the NDC MPs are irresponsible and that MPs are elected to come to the floor of Parliament to do business and not to be accompanying people to court, and that these singular acts of these NDC MPs will not help Parliament and its business going forward. And of course, left to them alone, these NDC MPs must stand up to the floor to come and do business. But while the NDC MPs have already decided that whenever such issues are called in court, they are going to go there. But these NPP MPs say that that is irresponsible. Let's listen to the Deputy Majority Whip, Habib Iddrisu, and the MP for Tema Central, Ives Hansen Norte.
Don't know where. They were elected to come and sit in Parliament. They were not elected to be accompanying people to court. Their constituents should take note that today they asked a lot of questions about their educational infrastructure, about their health infrastructure, and about tourism in their various constituencies. But they were not in Parliament to even ask those questions. The ministers were there, the answers were provided, but yet none of them were not in the chamber, in the excuse that they have accompanied somebody to court. I don't know what kind of democracy or parliamentary procedure is this, but we are watching them keenly, and the business of the day is done for now. So if we as legislators are making laws and we expect the judiciary to implement it, now we are now telling them that so now Kwesi is above every other Ghanaian. So they should actually call that all cases in court should be dropped, but not of a particular person. Thank you.
Because if something happens, we don't take. If we allow him to be not acquitted, but if there's no prosecutor, then obviously you're setting a precedent that would linger on into the future. However, it doesn't also exonerate him, because another Attorney General can come in the future and pick it up and decide to prosecute him. So for me, I think the best thing for him is to go through the processes. If he's found not guilty, hooray, he'll come back and come and work with us. If he's found guilty, he pays for his crimes, and then we continue and move on. So for me, that's it.
Okay, thanks to my colleague Kwekwa Santi, parliamentary correspondent, who's been giving us updates from the House. All of the action then moves to court, and we know that Richard Kujunyak was there for us. Well, Richard, let's get to this. What did they do when they came to the chamber of the court? Because we've seen already that quite a huge representation, even from the NDC, were present in court. But for the MPs, what happened?
Well, so the MPs came to support George Achikwesin in the first case. So all of them, including Kese Latu-Forson and then Collins Dauda, who were all also involved in the second case. In fact, they sat through the first case, supported George Achikwesin, and at the point they had to walk out to go, and then their case also started. So the various arguments ensued. The first argument was made by Chachu Chikata about the exercise of discretion by the judge, and then that led to what they call the error in law. And so they based it on Article 296 of the Constitution, where it is incumbent on the on persons that the Constitution has mandated to exercise some kind of discretion, and that discretion, they say that discretion ought to be exercised in a fair, not a capricious manner, and all of that. And based on that, the judge erred. Secondly, according to Article 19 of the same Constitution, George Achikwesin will not get a fair trial. They also referred to Section 196 of the Criminal Code and stipulated that if there is no requirement in that particular section that mandates that during a criminal trial, it should be heard on a day-to-day basis. So after the court proceedings, Abraham Amaliba, the leader of the NDC legal team, addressed the media.
We complain about the daily trial. It doesn't matter whether before the elections or after the elections. It's about the daily trial. We have even said that there's no criminal in this country, or if an accused person in this country who has been tried day to day. We are yet to see that. And so we indicated that it is going to be against Article 19, which talks about fair trial, and Article 296, which has to do with proper discretion. And we are saying that the judge didn't exercise her discretion properly. And for that matter, if she continues without giving hearing to our plea, it will prejudice the case. And it will also mean that the comments made by the president and the attorney general will be carried out by her. It shouldn't be that when the ordinary Ghanaian is watching from afar, would say that, oh, what this judge is doing is in furtherance of what the president and the attorney general has said already. It is also important that we ensure that fair trial is given, not only in this case, but in subsequent cases. And Senior Chachu Chikata indicated that what befell him some time back, some of them in government today may find themselves in that situation. But he does not hope that that will happen to them. But if it does happen to them, they will also be falling on what he is saying today. So it is important that the court grants this application so that there will be fair trial. And we'll stand against.
And of course, Richard, we know that the governing side, or the Attorney General, let's be clear on that record, also has his arguments to make. Well,
so Godfrey Diabu-Adami stood up and said that, well, the whole application that Chachu Chikata is making on behalf of George Achikwesin was unnecessary. First of all, they did not make any prejudicial comment, and so the court, Chachu Chikata called for the tape, the comment that the president made at Asinbreku, and then they requested that a portion of it be played, like 1 minute 34 seconds. So when the tape started playing, Godfrey Diabu-Adami intervened and said that, well, if they would want to play that tape, then they need to play the entire tape, the entire comment made by the president, so that they can situate the argument in proper perspective or proper context. And so that was what he said. But they said that, well, they are in the hands of the judge.
But then, knowing very well that this case is not necessarily about the president. There's the question as to why this tape has come up in court and what the relevance will be for those making the arguments for it.
Well, so it said that it's a criminal case and it is prosecuted by the Attorney General. That is the principal legal advisor of government. And so that is why the Attorney General had to come in. But the Attorney General was not also without blemish, because he is also alleged to have made a similar comment in court and outside the court as well.
Right. Richard Kujinyako there. But we can listen to some other people that you've been engaging, because I'm sure that you've been engaging in leadership of the NDC itself and what their position is in all of this matters happening to their leading figures. Exactly.
Sami Jemfi, the communication officer of the NDC, has been speaking, but he spoke after the second case was heard. In fact, the second case could not come off because a witness that was supposed to come and testify in court was not well and so was taken ill. And so the court had to adjourn that particular case to the 27th of July. After that, Sami Jemfi addressed the press.
Well, as the minority leader served notice, I believe 2 days ago, when the Honorable Member of Parliament for Ascend-Off took his oath of allegiance, the minority caucus and the entire National Democratic Congress, the leadership, our rank and file, have taken a principled decision to solidarize with all members of the party, all members of parliament belonging to the NDC minority who are being persecuted by the ruling MPP Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. And so what you have seen here today is in line with the announcement that was made by the leadership of the minority caucus, that henceforth they will be boycotting proceedings in the House anytime any of their colleagues will have to appear before the courts. And so today they have fulfilled the promise they made, and they are here in their numbers. The minority leader is here, ably supported by his deputy. The chief whip is here. You can see all these members of parliament belonging to the NDC here. As national officers, we are also here, and we are here standing together with our colleagues. We are here solidarizing with our colleagues. And we are telling the government that they may have their own plans about intimidating our people, harassing them, persecuting them, making sure that they wouldn't have the time and the focus to do their work as members of parliament in the House. I want to let them know that we are united, we are resolute, and we stand ready to defy their intimidation tactics and to ensure that our colleagues who are being persecuted get all the needed support to weather this storm, so that at the end of the day, justice would be done. Earlier on, as our Director Legal might have already informed you, we were in Criminal Court 3 for Honorable Jachi Kwesin's matter. Today, the application for stay of proceedings was moved by lead counsel, the Venerable Lawyer Chachu Chekata. And what in summary Lawyer Chachu Chekata put before the court was that, pursuant to the refusal by the trial court to review and or vary its daily trial decision, we, or lawyers for Honorable Kwesin, have filed an appeal in the Court of Appeal, because we think that that decision, that daily trial order of the trial court, violates the provisions of Article 296, which governs the exercise of this discretionary power, and undermines the accused right to a fair trial. And we are asking the trial court to hold on with the trial, stay proceedings relative to the main trial, pending the determination of the appeal, because proceeding with the trial would render the appeal, which is currently pending before the Court of Appeal, nugatory. It will render it useless. Because what we are appealing against is the very thing the court will be doing should the court not stay proceedings. And what was very significant about proceedings today in the High Court relative to the Kwesin matter was that lead counsel, Lawyer Chachu Chekata, took turns to draw the court attention once again to prejudicial comments which have been made by the Attorney General, Mr. Godfrey Adame, and no less a person than the President of the Republic of Ghana, comments to the effect that the people of Asenof should not vote for Honorable Kwesi because he is jail-bound. They should not vote for somebody who will be going to prison because he cannot serve them from prison. These comments are scandalous, they are prejudicial, they are reprehensible and irresponsible, and should not have come from the President of the Republic, who is the appointer of the Attorney General and who is the first gentleman of the land and doubles as a lawyer. These comments have also been repeated in courts by the Attorney General, who is supposed to be the Minister of Justice. And we think that these comments, as lawyer Chachichikata explained, suggest that there is a predetermined outcome in the minds of the President and the Attorney General. And they know what they are up to. And so we don't think that it is right for the trial to be rushed. Yes, the accused is entitled to a fair trial within a reasonable time. But as the lawyers say, justice hurried is justice buried. The lawyers require ample time to do what is required of them so that at the end of the day, the truth and justice will be upheld by the court. This is what the proceedings of today were about. The judge has adjourned ruling on this application for stay of proceedings to the 11th. And so we will be here again, ably supported by our members of parliament in service to God and country, to ensure that we give Honorable Kwesi the needed support. From there, we headed to the court trying a minority leader. And as you may be aware, the trial did not come on today as planned because one of the accused persons, due to ill health, was not available. So the court, in its wisdom, has adjourned the matter to the 27th of this month. And we hope to come and deal with the processes scheduled for that day.
Richard has also been talking about the work of the Attorney General as Minister of Justice. They believe he's not delivering on that.
So
Monday.
The NDC sees everything that is happening as persecution and not prosecution. And they feel that at this very point in time, Ghana has no Minister of Justice. Rather, we only have an Attorney General who prosecutes, but they do not have a minister that will ensure fairness and justice for everything. And in the coming days, the NDC has in its custody some evidence to the point that the AG has been giving some advice on some judgment that issue.
But one thing is clear in all these things. In all these things, what is clear is that Ghana today does not have a Minister of Justice. We may have an Attorney General who is the principal legal advisor to the President, but we don't have a Minister of Justice. Because the man who bears that title has demonstrated time and again that he doesn't deserve that title. He doesn't understand the responsibilities that come with that title. He's not interested in doing justice. He's not interested in a fair trial. He's only interested in abusing his prosecutorial powers, in going after political opponents. But we want to serve notice to him that the NDC has been through this before. This is not the first time we are seeing this kind of witch hunts. We saw that in the immediate aftermath of the 2008 elections. They said that by the time they were going to be through with us, the NDC would have collapsed. But here we are, formidable as ever, stronger as ever. We will go through this and we will come out successfully. But one thing is certain, that the day of reckoning, the day of accountability for Godfrey Adame is coming. Thank you. And if that day will not come after the 2024 elections, that day will come soon, because very soon we will be holding his feet to the fire of accountability. His conduct as Attorney General, particularly in relation to his advice and recommendations on matters of judgment debts, have come to our attention. And in the coming days, we will be addressing you in the media and by extension the good people of this country on these issues. We'll be putting before you incontrovertible facts about the conduct of this Attorney General and Minister of Justice, which are inimical to the interests of the state. And let's see, what you will have to say about that.
Let's bring in now Dr. Rashid Rahman. He's the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, and he's joining us as an expert in parliamentary development. Thank you, sir, for spending some time with us here on the Pulse. Incident where we have almost all minority MPs leaving the House. In fact, all of them were out of the chamber per the report we are receiving. Has this ever happened? Is this new to you? And is it also coming to you as a surprise?
Yes, indeed. I think this is new. I mean, I have seen members of parliament boycott parliamentary proceedings through walkouts when they disagree with maybe issues happening on the floor of parliament. But I've never seen a situation where there's a mixture of the representational role and some personal legal matters that affect some members of parliament. I mean, this is the first time I am seeing this.
But then we asked for a balanced parliament. Have we shot ourselves in the foot for considering what's going on now? The fact that they have the numbers, by the way.
Well, yes, indeed. I think Ghanaians were yearning for a parliament where no one party has the numbers to always railroad, its way in terms of legislation and so on. But this, if Parliament, is continuing to surprise everybody, particularly those of us who watch Parliament every day, I would have thought that in this matter, perhaps maybe we'll separate the role of the minority caucus as a group that's supposed to hold the government to account, and that will show up and work in the House, and then perhaps leave this matter to maybe the party headquarters so that they can mobilize their supporters to show up in court in solidarity with their members that they perceived are being persecuted. But to leave the business of the House and leave the job that Ghanaians are paying you to perform, I think is something else.
What's the likely impact on parliamentary democracy, specifically knowing that they have the numbers, they matter in whatever happens in the House?
Well, parliamentary business is going to be crippled. As we have seen over the years, not only in this 8th Parliament, I think over the years we've seen, in most cases, speaker after speaker suspending proceedings because they don't have the quorum in the House. This is a situation where certainly, quorum is going to be affected and the business of the House is going to be affected. I was hoping that, the leadership of the minority caucus would perhaps engage the entire leadership of Parliament so as to see whether these matters could be resolved as they have done before, because Parliament has a capacity, and over the years we have seen that happen, to sit together, both sides of the aisle, to discuss matters and come to some amicable solution. I'm not sure whether perhaps they have exhausted this mechanism, and that is why they are embarking on this. But if this continues, they might be in violation of some provisions of the standing orders, because if you absent yourself continuously for a number of days, assuming these trials are going to continue, then I think they might be in violation of their own standing orders. So I think in the interest of our democracy, in the interest of perhaps getting the business of our country, and let me be clear, it's not a business of the MPP. Sitting in the House and doing the work that they were elected for is our country's business. And I think they have to keep that in mind as they pursue this strategy, which is, of course, in their rights. But like I said earlier, perhaps they could have left this to their party supporters and I believe they have those numbers, show up at the courts and provide solidarity and support to their members who are facing trial.
I'm not sure if, obviously you're not a lawyer or a legal expert to advise on whether or not the Attorney General should withdraw the case, but the demand though, and the image that will paint of lawmakers, is the minority's demand really good for the optics in terms of how Ghanaians will view the lawmaking chamber? Having MPs ask that a case which is being argued on law be withdrawn simply because they have some of their members in there?
Well, I mean, like you rightly said, I'm not a lawyer, but you know, I'm hearing a number of kind of arguments being advanced by the NDC in terms of the fact that they, I believe, are not against their members being persecuted, but I think they are against the fact that some of these things are preconceived, as we heard from their communication director, referring to comments by the Attorney General, comments by the President, and so on. And I believe perhaps maybe that is the angle from which they are coming. If that is so, then I mean, I think it is in their right. But if it is against perhaps, I mean, the legal processes taking their course on laws that have been made by Parliament, then I think they have to think again, because tomorrow they might be in government and they might be setting a very dangerous precedent.
In all of this, what do you bring in the role of the Speaker of the House?
Sorry?
In all of this, where do you situate the role of the Speaker of the House?
Well, I mean, I believe the role of the Speaker of the House, I mean, as they call him the Father of the House, in this perhaps is to try and get the two sides to sit down and reason and perhaps look at ways of dealing with this in a manner that doesn't cripple the business of the House. I mean, the Right Honorable Speaker can bring the two sides together and perhaps if, for instance, I mean, they say, the NDC says they are against, you know, the kind of daily, hearings of the matter involving the Honorable Member for Asin North. I believe, I mean, Parliament has a capacity to take a look at this if that is what the NDC is against. And like you said, I mean, and which I agree with the NDC, there are so many cases in our country that are before the courts that have not been hurried like this one. And like they said today, justice hurried is justice buried. I mean, as if I can quote the communications director of the NDC. I mean, if that is a matter of concern, I believe the Right Honorable Speaker can play a role in terms of bringing the two sides together and even getting the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice to sit together and make sure that this matter is looked at very carefully.
And another very unhealthy development is what we see happening of late, where, correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be some sort of friction between two arms of the state. You have Parliament almost always clashing with the Supreme Court, with the Judiciary by extension. What does this suggest of our democracy and the fact that we need to respect separation of powers as the Constitution dictates?
Indeed, I think the matter that opened the floodgates, I mean, to this friction was the instance when the Parliament allowed itself for the Supreme Court to come in and decide on I mean, matters that are purely internal. I mean, because of I mean, the partisan nature of what's happening in the House right now. If you recall the matter in which the first Deputy Speaker, I think, wanted to vote and so on in the Supreme Court, somebody ran to the court. I mean, rather than I mean, trying to see how this can be resolved internally. So that opened the floodgates, and we saw recently the Supreme Court giving orders to Parliament to expunge the name of, an MP from the records and so on and so forth. Quite a bit unhealthy, because, once you have the judiciary giving instructions to Parliament, which is supposed to be, if you like, the arm of government that is a symbol of our democracy, then I think we are getting into some uncharted waters that could be very dangerous for our democracy.
Okay, so for the majority side, and they also have leadership, what's your expectation of them?
Well, I think, as they always say, minorities change and majorities change. We might wake up tomorrow and the MPP might find itself on the other side. So thinking about that and thinking into the future is very important that they look at this matter carefully, so that tomorrow when they find themselves in the minority, at least they would have set some good precedent in terms of when it mattered most, when there was crisis, the leadership showed its face and tried to do something about it, so that at least the image of our legislative institution becomes intact. Because what we always want to see is a united parliament that stands in terms of holding the executive to account. But when you have a divided parliament, as we are seeing right now, then I think oversight suffers, accountability suffers, and in the long run, Ghanaians are shortchanged because we don't get the kind of representation that we need. And it's not only from one side of the house. It has to be the business of the entire house to perform that oversight and accountability function for which the house is known.
Is it far-fetched to bring in the president?
I don't know, but I think Parliament is capable of dealing with this.
Okay, grateful. Dr. Rashid Rahman, who's the Executive Director for SEPA, joining us here on The Pulse. Now to the vetting of the presidential aspirants of the New Patriotic Party, as the governing NPP, led by the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, has concluded its assignments now, vetting all 10 aspirants that came before the exercise, which started Monday through to Thursday, gave the opportunity to aspirants seeking to lead the party to prove their competence in leading the New Patriotic Party. The aspirants, including the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, Alan Kojicharateng, have so far described the process as successful and hoping to progress to the next stage of the election process. Addressing the media, spokesperson for the vetting committee, Obi Amwa, expressed satisfaction with the performance of the aspirants.
Spent the days here since Monday. Thankfully, today we have concluded on our assignment when we managed to vet the 10th person who has applied to be a presidential aspirant and a candidate for the party. I'm sure you know the distinguished ladies and gentlemen on the committee, and we may not need to introduce ourselves again. The most important thing is that we've complied with the mandate of the National Party to ensure that anybody who has applied to be counted as a presidential aspirant has gone through the process. As the chairman said, by Monday we should submit a report, and if any person has been disqualified, he has the right to appeal to the National Appeals Committee before the process continues. It was decorous, respected the committee, and answered our questions. We've had no occasion to say that anybody has misconducted himself. Even when the person thought probably the question was unexpected, they've answered the questions to our satisfaction. And they themselves are aware that the rules and regulations require that they appear before us and perform their duty as required by the Constitution. To the aspirants was that they should not go out of this room to tell the media what had transpired here. Like the questions we asked them, their responses, etc. We were not in a position to just engage the media outside this premise. So the advice was that we are not going to tell the media what had transpired here. So we expect them to do the same. If you go out and say that, oh, we clap for you, you have gone to tell them that we clap for you. You don't even know that we clap for everybody. That's all that's the advice we gave. So if anybody walked out and said, they said we should not talk to media, we couldn't stop anybody from talking to the media. But not to tell the media what had happened here. Because we are still in the process of completing our assignment and submitting a report to the party through the General Secretary. That was the mandate. We've completed our process. Whether somebody walked out and we called him back, that is part of the process. We've completed the process. The next step is to submit our report to the party. That's the most important thing. We were given a week within which to conduct this process and submit a report. Based on our report, the party will follow on with the timetable. And as has been put out, when they will ballot, when we will do the special electoral college, all has been spelled out by the party. Thankfully, we've gone through the process and no petition has come against any person.
All right, my colleague Samuel Mbura has been monitoring all of the action for us, joins us via Zoom now. Samuel, let's get to, first of all, the numbers. In all, 10, correct?
Blessed?
10 in all. That's the number, yeah. Right?
Exactly, Blessed. There are 10, all 10 who picked and filed nominations have been successfully vetted by the vetting committee that was led by the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Aaron Okoye, which the exercise ended today.
Any concrete evidence of, what the likely recommendation may be on each of these candidates?
Well, the committee has not come out with a clear indication as to those that have been able to go through the process or those that have been kicked out. That can only be determined, or that will only be known after it has submitted its report to the National Council of the party through the General Secretary. And they'll be doing that on Monday. As you heard Mr. Obi Amwa talking earlier about the fact that they are satisfied with the conduct of the aspirants who have appeared before them. According to him, they have met all the credentials that qualify them to contest the election. So we are only waiting for the report that would be sent to the National Council. The steering committee of the party will sit on it between 11th of July and then 12th, and then possibly publicize the vetting report. That's where we get to know who has made it and who has been kicked out. So after that, opportunity will be given to any aspirant that has been affected to submit petitions, if there are any, to the National Presidential Appeals Committee. The National Presidential Appeals Committee will make time to sit on it from the 17th of this month. Afterwards, the National Council and the NEC meeting will be held, which they will now publish the list of the qualified presidential aspirants. That will be on Friday, 21st of July, 2023. So this vetting is actually the third stage of the election process of the flag bearer in the NPP. We know that the first step was the picking of nomination, second was the filing of the nomination, and then the vetting that has just been concluded by the committee. Okay. So we are still monitoring closely to get details as to what the party will be doing next. But obviously, since there are more than 5, what it means is that the party will have to organize a super delegates congress to trim down the number. We do know that after the 2007 flag bearer elections, where we had about 17 of them, exactly 17 of them contesting the race, they amended their constitution such that if there are more than 5, you have to go for the super delegates conference. Then you trim the number down to 5. The 5 will now go into the main flag bearer elections afterwards. Then they will now determine who will lead the party ahead of the general election. So that's the processes that are expected.
Okay.
Any
comments so far? Any comments so far from the chairperson of the committee, the former Speaker of Parliament?
Well, he told the media that his job was to superintend over the vetting. He has done that successfully. He was okay with the conduct and the performances of the aspirants, so he wouldn't comment further. And then that's where he gave the opportunity to the spokesperson of the committee, Obi Amwa, to address the media. So he didn't make further comments beyond what Obi Amwa told the media.
Okay, how about, the unconfirmed reports that some of the candidates still make their way back to the vetting grounds just to prove, quote and unquote, some points? What's going on?
Well, information around that is still sketchy. We're still nosing around to get the confirmed information as to what is actually on the ground, but that is the rumor there. We can't confirm that, and we are still following up to get to the details of it.
Someone monitoring the presidential vetting of the new patriotic party for us. You're watching The Pulse. When we return, authorities in the Ghana Health Service are raising concerns about brain drain. We'll talk about that shortly. Please stay. And you're welcome back. Some residents of Tema Community 22 are upset about the deteriorating state of their roads. Lack of maintenance of road has caused the potholes to deepen. The asphalt has completely washed off, exposing the bare brown earth. In today's edition of Ghana's Pothole Exhibition, residents are calling on government to pay more attention to them now and not wait till the elections. Jojo Kobina and Kingsley Otu they have the rest of the story.
Driving through Tema Community 22 requires great skill and resilience. It is as though staying in your lane is prohibited in this community. Drivers would have to constantly veer off their lanes to minimize the impact of slumping into potholes and sometimes get used to slumping and bumping into what looks like craters. The rains have worsened the quality of the road. Motorists barely drive 30 meters on asphalt road and they are back to what they dread. But it hasn't always been like this. The community once enjoyed good roads. But when the road started deteriorating, authorities just looked on. Drivers get angry when their vehicles constantly squeal after jouncing into potholes. They feel the government is not listening to their cries. The frustration of this motorist is as intense as the fatigue he endured plying this route.
So all the roads from this community, if you go 25, that area to Apollonia, Afienya, all those are very bad. We say we have MPs. What are they doing? Nothing. They don't do anything, I'm telling you. They don't do anything at all. Just imagine if you have a car on this road, how will you feel? If I go to shop, I buy shocks about 1,000 to 1,300. But it's like within a month, you have to go to the shop. Within a month, you have to go to the shop, which is very bad.
Potholes have reduced 5 minutes journeys into 30 minutes drive. Refusing to slow down on this road will eventually damage your car. Emmanuel Akole is a beneficiary of the poor state of the road. For years, he has been making this road motorable. He has the pothole map of Community 22.
After roundabout, the Afalwa Junction, this 22 inside was no good at all. There is so many places I know where no good. Tema, I know kind of places. Yes. The time they not build the China Mall, maybe the one I used to take popping machine. They draw the water, they divert the road. It means that Baba go let I get my own position at the sleep.
He still wants authorities to fix the road, arguing that potholes will not put him out of work because they are common in the neighborhood.
Yes, I used to go there, main junction for the Afalwa station there. I used to go there, up there. Any actual place God showed me, make I did so that I could get my daily bread. Sometimes I could get like 30, 40.
A large billboard along the road directs cars to the DVLA premises for renewal of roadworthy certifications. Daniel Asari, president of the Tema Community 22 Residents Association, is not amused by this irony.
That is the irony, to drive through a road which is not roadworthy, to go and do your roadworthy, and then you come out back onto a road which is not roadworthy after you've done your car. It's just frustrating, especially when you just have to do a short run within the community, not that you're even going far. It takes so much time, you have to be extra careful. At least those of us with four-wheel, we manage, but it's bad. It's bad. The car will be jumping. It's very uncomfortable.
If you drive a saloon car, you have to be extra careful lest you suffer a breakdown. The residents of this community say they cannot endure any more and want swift government intervention.
Yes, sir.
And next week, the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International will be hosting its global convention here in Accra. As part of the activities, there will be a mega youth forum. And what will this involve? And joining me in studio now is Samuel Ajono, is the National Director for the Youth Development of the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship here in Ghana. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're excited and upbeat about the conference itself, but why the focus on the youth, by the way?
Yeah, the focus on the youth because the youth have a lot of needs. They need attention. And as a fellowship, which is a professional Christian fellowship, our desire is that we nurture the young ones and give them the opportunity to be able to explore their potentials and be able to give back to society. And so that's how come we are focusing on the youth.
And for those who are not too aware of, the fellowship itself, what's the history behind it and why do you usually have these annual meetings?
All right, so the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International is the world's largest Christian businessmen and professionals group that networks businessmen from different denominational backgrounds.
Right.
Yes, and it started in 1952 by our founder, late founder Demos Shakarian. And he had a vision to mobilize men to be able to be equipped and then trained to be the people that God has called them to be. And annually we meet to equip ourselves, encourage ourselves so that we can go back and then impact society for the better.
And for what's happening here in Accra, are you limiting it to just the members of your church, or are you expecting more people to join you?
Okay, so Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International is not a church. It is a non-denominational Christian fellowship. Okay, that mobilizes members across different denominations, but we are focused on businessmen and professionals. So we are looking at not only our members, but people who are also not members to be able to also join us and experience that which we also experience, and then be able also to pass on the positive effect back to society.
And looking at the fact that you deal with businessmen and professionals, why does the youth matter to the network, and how do you create opportunities for them so they can also be members of the fellowship?
Yes, the youth matter, yes, and I appreciate the fact that you said that it's a business and a professional Christian fellowship. At a point, leadership realized that there was some leadership gap, and not only for the fellowship, but also for the nation.
Right.
And so to be able to address that, we decided to focus on the youth, giving them an early opportunity. Yes, they are not working, but these ones will definitely get to the point whereby they will enter the world of work. And so we decided to reach out to them. And the first youth chapter of the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International started at University of Cape Coast in 2008. And I happened to be a member by then. I joined in 2009.
Right.
And I've been through up until this point. And so, yes, then it was something, let's give the young ones the opportunities. And out of that, we've had a group of people. So we have youth chapters on the tertiary campuses, and we also have young professional chapters, which are outside.
So you're basically grooming them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, for the event this year, and as far as the youth is concerned, because they would also be interested in some of the activities that will be taking place, how do you intend to draw them onto what's happening, and what tailor-made events do you have for them when the convention takes place? All right, so the convention is taking place from the 13th to the 15th, and there are different aspects of the convention. Others are addressing business, others are addressing family, and then ladies and all. But we also have a session dedicated to the youth, which is the Youth Forum, and which is taking place on the Saturday, 15th of July at the Accra International Conference Center. And this particular forum is meant to provide inspiration, insight, give an international platform, because this is a world gathering for people to be able to network, be able to share ideas, and build connections that will be able to propel them to the next height. Okay, if there's a message for the youth, particularly as we look forward to this convention, what would that be? The message to the youth is that they have a lot to be able to impact onto society, and God has a purpose for them. And so they should align themselves to the area that would be able to help them to discover themselves. And so this is the message we are carrying out to the youth, that Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International is a space that will be able to help you birth your skills, birth your potential, and go back and then impact society. And this may just be by the way, but of course it is in line with your vision and the issue about unemployment and how the church could be of help to the teeming youth out there. What plans do you have as a network in creating opportunity and, empowering the youth so they can also see the opportunities in their communities? Exactly. So, like we've already stressed, Full Gospel is a businessman and professional fellowship. And one of the things that we do, we have mentorship programs that we run on both tertiary campuses and also institutions, and then senior high schools. So what we do is that because of our backgrounds, we bring our professional knowledge, and then we go back there and then help the young ones. We provide soft skills, for example, how to, sit for an interview, CV writing, and all these are skills that sometimes as you go through your educational system, you don't have people providing with that. And so we bring these professionals to them and then provide them with that knowledge and then share real life testimonies about the world of work, because a lot of the young people don't have connections with professionals or businessmen. So once you are able to come share real life stories, they have the encouragement, have an inspiration that indeed there's hope and I can do something. So this is how we help to be able to address the unemployment. Are you working or going to work with other churches as this convention is about to take off, just to connect them more and to draw more of them, more of the youth groups? Some may be in other churches, but I'm sure that you're open to networking and partnering with them. Exactly. In fact, one of the objectives of the Youth Development Directorate is to partner with other youth groups within churches. Yeah. And so we've extended invitations to students, we've extended invitations to churches, youth groups, Presby, a number of churches that we've extended invitations for them to be able to also come and then experience that which we are having. Yeah. And one more time, the venue, time, and when is this happening? Okay, so the venue is the Accra International Conference Center, and it's taking place on the 15th, that is next week, Saturday, on the 15th of July, and the time is 2 p.m. And the good thing about it is that admission is free, so all people are welcome. We are looking at hosting about 2,000
young.
That's a lot.
Women. Yes, that's a lot.
2,000.
Yes, because we want to really empower a lot of people to make Ghana a better place.
Any notable speaker you're expecting to
Yes,
be a
so
part of?
we have as a part of our speakers our international president, and he's Mr. Francis Owusu, and he's the executive director of Fiesta Hotels and then Residences. We also have architect Alfred London, who is the principal consultant for our Alcon Architects, yes. And then we also have, as one of our international speakers, a very young gentleman who is the chairman for the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Indonesia in the province of NTT. He will also be part of those who will be coming to speak. And so we have a number of young people who will be coming to share their experiences and then speak on topics that is going to equip the young ones for the world of work and for society in general.
I see. Yeah. It will be amazing, I believe.
Exactly, exactly.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. And well, yesterday we started our series on creating more opportunities in the tourism sector. But one key area that we haven't spoken about is the travel and tour industry. And Adansi Travel and Tours is one of the private sector players, a major one in that industry. But how are they contributing to developing the sector? Joining us now is Gideon Asari, Managing Director of the group. Thank you, sir, for spending some time with us. First of all, it's been a challenging number of years, dating back to 2019. But would you say that the travel and tour industry is picking up, first of all?
It's really, really picking up. After COVID, people are beginning to travel more. The travel pattern has changed a bit. Some are spending more time than they used to do. There's so much demand on travel services at this stage.
I see. But then there is the notion that what we seem to be promoting much more is the tour out of Ghana. How about in country? What do you have to say about that status?
I think from our end, we think we are even doing more inbound, more domestic travels than we used to. Because one thing the COVID taught us is to push more for Ghanaians within the country to move around. So we are seeing more people, more Ghanaians traveling within Ghana more than they used to do in the COVID era. So the notion might not necessarily reflect what the reality is.
I see. But then if there's a role for you to play as travel and tour agencies, how crucial is that to the development of our tourism industry?
So the travel and tour agencies' role is very crucial because all the other players make the product available or they have their scattered services. So we kind of bring those services together and make it consumable. So you might have heard of a very beautiful hotel in the western region or in the northern region, but how do you get there? You need a transport, you need some few activities, you need a guide, so the travel and tour agencies are the ones who will bring all the components, the transport, the flights, the meals, the hotel. We bring it together and we make it easy for the consumer to be able to consume it in a way. So our role is very critical. We play a central role in the tourism drive. And with what we currently see, we've seen that when we put these packages together, it's a typical Ghanaian traveler find it a bit easy to kind of know whether he can afford it, and also he feel that especially if among a group, he feels safe and be able to purchase the package. So we are drivers of the tourism. We are in the middle. We play a central role to ensure all the other sectors of the tourism come to play.
The figures appear to be significant in terms of the forex inflows as a result of tourism activities, but experts say we could be doing far more, exceeding far more the targets that, of course, the Tourism Ministry appears to have set for itself. What are the challenges hindering that, the realization of the full potential in the tourism space?
Yeah, so there are challenges. One of the key challenges, or the challenges, it depends on the type of tourism we are discussing. So if we take inbound tourism, that is those outside coming to Ghana, one of the key challenges is visa. So visa to Ghana is a bit difficult to access compared to other countries. So remember, a tourist always have choices. Okay, if you are coming for Ghana for a UN conference, you have no choice. You just have to come. But if you are coming to Ghana for tourism purpose and you are struggling to get a visa, you might as well go to Kenya and get a visa on arrival or e-visa or something. So our visa regime is still not up to the tax. So it's one key challenge that we have with the inbound tourism. The other challenge with the inbound tourism has to do also with the packaging. So a lot of people out there do not really know exactly what they will enjoy when they come to Ghana. They might have seen scattered images of the slave dungeon, the other tourist attractions, but there are not enough products that have been put together to make it attractive for them to come. So that's one challenge. When it comes to the domestic, like people within Ghana moving around, I think one key challenge people talk about is the cost. Yes, so, and these costs arise from the fact that most of the tourism, most of the things services that we have to put together, we have not really looked at the distribution network of the tourism in Ghana. So it's if you want to go to Kakum National Park and you call Adansi Travels, perhaps I may have to charge you the cost of a car, a guide, and when I put it all together, you feel it's very expensive. But if there's like a fixed departure from Accra Mall every Friday, and you can just buy a seat and join a group to Kakum, then you see that it's easy for people to consume the product, because at the filling station, at the supermarket, everywhere you can just buy a seat. You get it. So the distribution of the tour, the packaging, has not really been looked at professionally and universally in the country. And until we do that, we'll still be struggling with costs.
And here's the thing, that many of the agencies such as yours, in fact, your story is quite unique. You've been in existence for the past 10 years. Do you see a typical change in the sector, and that gives you hope that there are opportunities going forward of renewed sense of taking advantage and leveraging on the opportunities in the tourism sector?
Yes, we see massive changes from the past 10 years when we started carving a route of innovating certain products for the tourism industry. So, for instance, almost every month we have groups moving left and right. So people easily get to buy some of these domestic products. We have like Eastern Escape, where you go to the Eastern region. We have Jewel of the West, that takes you to the Western region. You have the Northern, Discover Northern. So by breaking the packages into this, and also encouraging other travel agencies to do same. So we will have a lot of agencies that look at what we do and also come out with packages. And that is how we cause change in the market. So we see such opportunity as a good way to make impacts in the tourism space.
Any message for, potential tourists, those who are viewing us outside of Ghana? Is there any message for them? And for those who also want to do some partnership with you, do some travel and tour around the sub-region, out of the region, what's the message from Adansi Travel?
We just want them to know that we bring 10 years of experience into making sure their travel is well managed. So for those outside who are looking for where to go in this summer, if you have not yet settled on any destination, Ghana is your go-to. If you come this summer, there's so much happening. For instance, Adansi has lined up a lot of trips to various parts of the country. So you might not be spending too much, because you can join some group of Ghanaians who are exploring the Volta or exploring the North or the Western, and you just pay for a seat and you join them. You make networking, you make friends, and then you also enjoy what the country has to offer. So we invite everybody to come on board and taste and feel Ghana and see what the tourism potential we have.
Okay. We hope to honor that invitation. Gideon Asari, Managing Director at Hansi Travels. Thank you for joining us. The police is your friend. It's a popular mantra used by police officers and officers of the law, but that is not the case for many children whose default reaction is to actually flee when they see the police. But the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, is determined to change that narrative. On his interaction tour of the Greater Accra region, the IGP bumped into 3 school children who fled when they saw him and his team. He got close, accompanied them whilst telling them not to run away when they see the police.
I'm trying to recover from the shock that I had after meeting the little ones who saw people who were supposed to protect them, and they started running. So as to whether I'm fine or not, I'm still making a decision on it. But I know one thing, that is a good thing that we witnessed, and we pick the relevant lessons, and we are going to double our steps in trying to build partnership and engage the community for us to be able to win your hearts and minds, to win the hearts and minds of your elder siblings, the hearts and minds of your parents, the hearts and minds of your uncles, the hearts and minds of your grandparents, and more importantly, the hearts and minds of your little siblings whom we just dispatched. So that's the assurance I want to give you. We are there because of you. We have witnessed something dramatic today, which is a gap in terms of the quality of service we provide for the communities, and more importantly, for you, the young ones, which we have missed. And we are going to recalibrate and get to the point that we'll be in a position to satisfy you. Because I've said it without time without number, that as long as we are public servants, you guys are in school, you are fresh with your synonyms and antonyms. Whenever there is a servant, there will be what? I can hear you. Whenever there is a servant, there will be what? And if we are public servants, by the work that we do, then we have been looking for our masters. And to tell you the truth, the masters are the people in the community that we serve. The old people are our masters, your parents are our masters, your uncles are our masters, your elder siblings are our masters, and you, if you don't know, today, I'm telling you, you are our masters. So, we are the servants, and you are the masters. And have you seen a servant sleeping on the bed in the master bedroom? It is always the servant to what? To serve. So we are your servants. When you see us as such. And don't feel that you are rather the servant and we are the... It can never be. Do you understand? And let me demonstrate to you why you are the masters. Just now, my daughter come. Have you seen my daughter? You haven't seen my daughter? For today, she's my daughter. Clap for her. And the father is my brother. The mother is my sister. And all of you, you are my daughters and my sons. So supposing my daughter here, very young, I demonstrate to you why she is my master. Let my brother here let my sister decide to hold her and attempt to take her away. And she shouts. And I'm a police officer. I've heard a little girl shouting. I have to stop everything doing and attend to her.
And that's all we have for you in this package. I'm blessed to go and log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates for you. Thanks for watching.